Well, welcome and good day, everyone. We are so, of course, glad to have you guys back again with us this week. And of course, we love guys having you. So let us know in the comments that you're here enjoying this. Of course, it is found on YouTube at LifeNorth.Church, as well as anywhere you can find podcasts. If you would like to listen to it, maybe on a run, maybe on a walk, or maybe just have it playing. Cooking dinner, exactly. So you've got lots of options on how to... Again, listen to what we're talking about today in our, of course, Talk It Over. And again, another great message this week, Carolyn.
It was really good.
I'm loving this God Is series. It's been good so far, and I know we've got another one coming.
Yes, we do.
So very excited about that. I love that we've had a new pastor bring the message this week, as well as we did last week. So it's nice to get some, again, different perspectives on this topic of God Is. But of course, before we get into that, let's catch up a little bit. So Carolyn, how was your week this week?
It was a good week. It was a quieter week with work, being March break. A lot of families were away and wanting to take a break from therapy and enjoying the spring weather that we do have here in Southern Ontario, which was really nice. So it was a quieter week. It was a good week. We got together with some friends that we've known for a really long time and went for a walk and laughed and joked and had a great dinner. So it was a nice week.
Nice.
How was your week?
It's been good. It's been a hard one. As we've had a death in the family this week. Just a grandfather. So that's kind of been a little bit sad and a lot of emotion, but at the same time, we of course know that he's gone to a much better place, and so that brings certainly a bit of comfort to us in this time, even though we still are grieving that loss and not being able to see him physically anymore. But yeah, taking comfort in that's been good.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful, and Emmett's had a great week, of course, on March break. Been able to just enjoy that time with his mom, his grandpa, and grandma this week as they were up, of course, for the passing. So, yeah, he's enjoyed that, and that's been kind of a good thing, and it's kind of brought us closer together this week, just realizing, how fragile life can be, and just kind of realizing that we need to enjoy all the little things in those times. So let us know, guys, what is that for you? Maybe you've had, that relaxing week at March break, enjoying that time, spending time with family, friends, children, catching up on some time. Or maybe you had something difficult, something that maybe you need some prayer for. And if that's the case, please let us know in the comments. We would love to be praying for you, and certainly would love to get back to you and connect with you more with those comments. So, diving into this week's message, of course, we had Pastor Sam Marin. And of course, he's preached before. The one that really stands out for me in the past was his Beans and Rice and Jesus Christ. That was an excellent message. Of course, you can find that on YouTube and past messages. It is there. A great message. He brings a lot of personal emotion, I feel, to his messages, and certainly dives into that real personal connection with God. So the title of today's message is When You Feel Like God Can't Love You, which I don't want to assume, but I think most of us have been in that place in one point or multiple points in our lives, depending on the situations we've been in. It certainly can feel that way. So I like what Pastor Sam kind of started with, talking about dads and fathers and those people in our lives that maybe are that influencing person, maybe a person of authority. But whether you had that good father figure, a bad father figure, I never thought of it this way, but it can affect our relationship with God, our Father. And I never really put those two together, like how that can affect each other. So I really liked how he kind of started with that, because it really sets the tone for the message this week.
Yeah, it really does. And everyone comes from so many different backgrounds. So to be able to preference that we come from our own perspective.
Exactly.
And it's important to see it from everyone's perspective.
So, of course, I like when he was talking about that one person, a father figure, or a person of influence they certainly can change the direction in your life, as well even as removing your confidence, depending on how they, talk to you or listen to you or, do interact with you, can really change how the direction you're going and losing that confidence. And yeah, it's touched a string for me for sure. The story about the religious leader, this was kind of a focusing point, of course, for this message. This religious leader who had a daughter that was dying and, of course, maybe looked upon funny by going to Jesus, of course, in that time.
I thought that was such a great reminder, because we think, oh, well, of course he'd go to Jesus, but at that time, Jesus was not popular with the people he would have been associating with. So what a great reminder.
Yeah, and taking that step that he knew he had to do whatever he could for his daughter, and that meant even being maybe shunned or looked upon badly for going to Jesus. So, I really like that story about, sometimes you have to take those steps even if they are hard. I like what Pastor Sam also did with talking about the 3 lies about God that we sometimes quite tend to believe. And then the opposite of that, the 3 truths about God and how they relate back and forth to each one. So our first lie is God is judgmental. And I can relate to that. I've felt that way where I felt, he's judging me. He's, bringing justice upon me for something I did that was wrong. But no, God really is compassionate. He's a compassionate God who shows mercy and grace to us. Of course, more than we deserve for sure. So I like those 2 together. For me, this is a big one. God is angry. Oh man, I've had that feeling. I don't know for you, Carolyn, but you get that I know I have.
Yeah, no, I have too. And there's those moments where, I make a mistake, and that's where I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. And that's so not who God is.
No, he's not an angry God. And the truth behind that one is he is patient. He is willing to have those patience with us in those times when we've, messed up, made a mistake, and not, just being angry and you're gone kind of thing. That's it, right? So I think we can easily get caught up in the angry one. And again, another one that ties well into those lies is God is hateful. And I think we tend to feel that sometimes when things maybe are stacking up against us and things going wrong. And it's this one wrong thing. Well, now there's another wrong thing. And why does God hate me so much? And again, I think we get caught up in that.
Yeah, forgetting sin's a big part of why things go wrong, because I'm imperfect and you're imperfect, and so things are going to go wrong.
They are, and I think that's where we get that lie from. But we got to remember that the truth behind that is God loves you, He loves us, He cares for us, He wants the best for us, and to me that's one of those big truths that we need to hold on to tightly. And Pastor Sam wrapped it up really well with 3 ways God is with you. And I think that's, again, something we tend to forget, that God is always with us. And last week, I think we discussed a little bit about, this mobile God, that he's always with us, right? He's portable. He's a portable God. And he can be with us and moving with us in any direction we're headed. And he's always there. And I like that analogy about this portable, movable God that's always with us. And so we want to remember that he walks with you, he stops for us, and he talks to us. Those are a big part of what I think we need to remember and carrying on each and every day. As again, in that story about the religious leader, he walked with him, he did stop for him, and then he talked to him as well as his daughter. And I think that really just kind of emphasizes what that's all about. So, Before we dive into this thing, we're going to jump into just a scripture here. One, again, I thought was excellent. It's found in 1 John 3:1. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. And I think we do forget that we are children of God. And I think that's something we just forget, that we have this godly Father who's there with us, guiding us, helping us in every situation. And I think we tend to forget that a lot.
Yeah, it becomes performance-based, doesn't it, so quickly? I have to do things for God instead of God is with us.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm. Exactly. So let's dive into these questions, everybody. Let us know how you guys are doing. Maybe something popped up to you just in this wrap up here of what we've been talking about in this message. And don't forget to respond. We love to hear your comments, what you guys' thoughts, of course, are on these questions as we go through them. And we'll, of course, get back to you with a response as soon as we can. So share something, Carolyn, that was great that happened to you this week. Something great.
Oh, something great this week. I think it was really reconnecting with our friends. We've known them for a really long time, like teenager times. So that was quite a few years ago. And just being able to reconnect and talk about life. And as we've gotten older, there's lots of things that are going on in our lives and things that can be challenging. And I love getting together and just being reminded of God's faithfulness in their stories and how God's worked and how he continues to work, and just be encouraged by that. And I love that reminder that he's at work, even though there are times where we can be in different seasons and it can be harder than others to see that, but just be encouraged by that. So and seeing spring, I got to tell you, here in Ontario, good things are coming, because I can't wait to get out in my garden and just really, I'm glad the snow is gone. Hopefully.
Yes, it looks like it should be gone, and hopefully it will stay away. As today is the first day of spring, so we are in, of course, the right direction. Yep. Man.
What was it for you this week? It's a tough week with having to deal with loss.
It is. But something that I think that was really great that's kind of come out of this whole week is just the connection, emotional, and even just talking through things with, of course, my wife, my son, of everything's going on and how we're managing and dealing with what's going on, and being able to be honest about how we're feeling and continuing to just grow our relationship and strengthen those bonds with each other, I think has been just excellent through this week. Just being able to be there and support each other, I think, has been really big. And again, understanding from my son and just realizing that this is difficult for us, and him just being patient with that, I think was excellent again this week. It's been tough, but it's been good. It's allowed us to really continue to connect and grow that relationship we have with each other as a family unit, and just being able to be who we are, and just knowing that we've got that. And again, friends, people being around us, supporting, praying for us, and just seeing that connection, that community that comes together behind you in that time of hurt. Again, has been an excellent part of this week. So just seeing that and knowing that is just, it really helps make that transition better. So it was good. It was good, but tough, but that's okay. We've got support. So that makes it better. So, of course, this message did bring a lot of emotion, and Pastor Sam does that each and every time he does preach, brings lots of emotion and personal perspective to his messages. And so with that in mind, was there part of this message that really impacted you, Carolyn, and maybe why?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be an emotional one when we, the songs we were singing had me tearing up. But I think what really struck me was just this testimony of Pastor Sam's wife. And just her faith in God despite a very tough upbringing.
Yes.
And knowing that no matter where we start, God is faithful. God can use us. God can grow us up, and we can have a faith that's stronger because of some of those hard things, right? And as you were talking about at the very beginning, right? Like, why are all these hard things happening? And I think that reminder of every hard moment is an opportunity to see God's faithfulness, and that's her story and her testimony and her willingness to share that was just really powerful. And just the reminder of to come along and be that encouragement to people regardless of where they're at, and what they're experiencing. Being there for people is so important.
Yeah, that story, it invoked a lot of emotion. And again, I like how you put that about just seeing, no matter the circumstances, no matter the upbringing, just that faith in God brought her to where she is. Not having that earthly father, but having that godly father to guide her was the difference for her. And so, yeah, it was an excellent part of that message. And certainly you could see, the emotion come out there. Yeah, man, there were so many good parts. That's the thing. There were so many good parts in this message today. It's really kind of hard to pick one. But I think the one that really stands out for me is when Pastor Sam had talked about that father or that person of authority or somebody you look up to can really have that influence and direction in your life, and really can either boost you up or bring you down. And for me, that's very true. I had a teacher that was just a bad teacher and was a very negative teacher, somebody who really tore down, wasn't a very good person to build up or build into or build confidence in a student in grade 7, grade 8. When you're in that crucial time when you're not sure about confidence in yourself and you're figuring out kind of who you are and where you fit. And so for me, having that influence on me really changed, of course, my direction and my outlook. When you hear those things about you're not going to be much, you're going to be average at best, your best isn't good enough, things like that I heard really changed my focus and how I even just did day-to-day things, and school. Lost focus in school because, well, if I'm already not going to be anything, what's the point in trying?
Yep.
And so I think that really changed my direction of where maybe I could have gone. Maybe if I had a different influence, that may have changed my thoughts on how I perceived school, how I applied myself. And so for me, that just struck a chord. It rang very true for me in my earlier childhood about the direction I'm going and that influence on me. And so for me, that experience, it was hard at the time, but knowing it now helps me to understand what I need to do for my son and building into him that confidence, right? And telling him, as what Pastor Sam was, go get him tired. You're the champ, really.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah, with the heavy accent, exactly. So it's sometimes just those little comments can make a big difference in, of course, a kid's life. And whether it's your own child, maybe you're kind of that father figure to, a niece or a nephew, or even just kids in the neighborhood. That influence can be more than maybe we even recognize. And so, yeah, I thought that was a huge part for me. I don't know what it is for you guys. Maybe something about that godly father, that direction that he brings has brought you to where you are now, because that father figure just wasn't physically in your life. Or maybe it was like me. Maybe you had a bad influence from a teacher or a parent or somebody else that you looked up to. Or maybe it's the exact opposite of me. Maybe you had those positive influences, that really person that really just pushed you forward and really built that confidence in you. And we'd, of course, love to hear from you guys what that might be for you. So please let us know in the comments. We would, of course, love to see what you guys are thinking and what you're feeling and what that looks like, because we're all about building that community.
Yes.
So, we experience, of course, God as he walks with us, as we talked about, stops for us, and talks to us. That's kind of I just love those. So, share a way you've experienced him recently. So maybe it's through that walking, stopping, or maybe it's talking.
Yeah, this has been a really challenging season of life for me personally. Everything is kind of new. Everything's different. To be honest with you, the last 2 years have been like that, just through all the changes we've been through.
Yep.
And I think that idea of God walking with me, and he's never going to leave me or forsake me.
Yep.
That idea of he is with me wherever I go, that portable ability that he has. And I think for me, that's just that reminder of, Dave and I love to go on walks. Your son Emmett loves to go on walks with us. Just that idea of walking through life with God, and he's always been there and he always will be there, and I don't need to fear. And I think when everything has kind of been turned upside down, and you go through seasons where in loss, losing my dad a couple years ago, losing job, connection with friends, starting over again, those are moments that you start to think, this feels unsettling, because you can fill it with the tangibles, and sometimes I forget that God is actually the consistent one.
Yes.
And I love that reminder that God is walking every step with me. And sometimes that next step seems so scary, or seems I'm not sure what the right next step is, and just reminding myself, like, it's okay, God's walking with me, and he's going to stop when I need it. And I love the image of God walking with me, and just taking whatever stage in life I'm in, he's going to be there, and remembering how he has been. I love the fact that Israelites were also very forgetful, and God says, remember. And as I go back and remember, okay, God saw us through this, and he saw us through that, and he walked through us with this. It was such an encouraging message. And then to top it off with how he walked with this mom and her daughter, and just being reminded of that. God is faithful.
That's a big part of, just that he's always walking with us. He's always beside us. He's always guiding us and helping us through those difficult situations. Oh man.
What was it for you?
Man, that's it's such a good question. These are so good all the time. I think recently God's been just kind of talking to me just a little bit. It's not been very loud talking, but it's been very just small nudges, I guess, in direction. And so again, being in a life group, we had a great conversation, of course, last week about kind of what's the direction look like? What's that relationship that we have? How are we building that relationship? And it just kind of started bringing things of, okay, well, what do I need to do? What do you need to do, Ian? What's your next step? Where are you building this from? What does this look like for your son? Are you leading him? And so just these little bits of information that keep kind of tying into each other as they've been building, for sure this past week, kind of God just mentioning things about different direction and what does my direction look like, and how important the relationship that I build with God can really determine how effective I can be in the areas that God's placed me in. And so, just those that conversation, those constant, discussions and things that have been going on, and what does that look like? So, it's just been that talking with me. It's just one of those things that's been really predominant. The past little while, but it's each of those brings out a different piece, right? And stopping with us, and stopping and saying, hey, just hold on. You're gonna miss something, right? And again, get those every now and then where it's like a stop. You need to stop and just smell the roses, as it were. Take that little bit of a breather of that hustle and bustle of what's going on, and really take an account of what's around you, and what you've been doing, and what you've been doing for God, and just kind of those things really, they tie so well together, I think is the thing for me. And it's been good. So for you guys, what's that look like? Have you been experiencing God walking with you recently? Has he stopped with you, kind of that, sit and talk, smell the roses, kind of take a break and just kind of look at what's around you? Or has he been recently talking to you? Maybe it's changing a direction. Maybe it's building that relationship better with him. Maybe it's looking at a generation behind you to maybe mentor somebody. Maybe he's pushing you in that direction. So let us know, guys, what does that look like for you? We would love to know. All right. So, of course, when we receive God's love, we are able to extend his love to others. It's kind of how that works. We get it. We move it. It's just kind of passes through us. So let's talk about some ways you've accepted God's love, and the ways you've seen his love impact those around you. And how could you show his love to others more regularly? I think that's a really good question.
It is. I was very influenced by my grandma, who took me in when my mom was sick when I was born, and being able to see how her willingness to build in at 68 to a baby. I have a new appreciation on this side of getting closer to my 60s, but just realizing the sacrifice that was for her and seeing her give back to my family, and realizing as my mom's 85th is coming up and the full family's getting together to celebrate, just being thankful for my family and where my family is and how they all have a real heart for God, the nieces and nephews and their spouses, and like that's a big part of our family. And yet I saw my dad and my grandma just really live out a servant's heart and to give back. And for me, it's always been with kids. And God has just given that me from a very early age. I love kids, drive my boys crazy wherever we go. I'm always wanting to talk to kids. And they, I see the benefit of kind of what you were saying, right? Being a positive encourager in kids' lives, because parents can't be everything to their kids, and having other adults who are on their side and who speak into them and who are praying for them and who are encouraging them, it's just really, really important. And so I have a real heart for kids and being able to build into them regardless of their abilities, disabilities, skill level, and just have a real passion for that. And so I think for me, it was interesting from this message, because one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is I have a niece who's very involved in a pregnancy care agency where she lives, and has been I had another niece who was very much into Save the Mothers organization, about working with mothers in Africa, Kenya in particular, and my heart for the unborn child. And God has been kind of growing that in me, and we've talked a lot about fostering. We've talked a lot about, so many kids need and families need other people coming around them. And so hearing this story again, I think the other part is for me to really embrace that. So we sponsor kids through Compassion, which is great. Being better with my letter writing, because it's not just about the money, it's about the relationship.
That's for sure. And
just stepping up in those little consistent ways of coming out of a time in history where so much has been turned upside down. And there's been so many regulations and so many rules, and your head spins because I just said, I'm going to be glad tomorrow when I don't have to think, do I have my mask? Do I have my wallet? Do I have my keys? There's just been so much new learning that I think it has taken away from the relationship piece. And I need to get back to relationships and make that more of my priority, and less about, I'm already feeling overwhelmed because there's been so much of, it doesn't matter if there's been lots, people matter. And to invest more in people and kids.
Yeah, I like that. That's excellent. And of course, we've discussed, it takes a village to raise a child. And I truly believe that. I don't think you can just raise the child yourself. Because again, as you were saying, you can't be everything that your child needs. You just can't. And that's where that village to raise that child really comes into effect, when you have that tight community, again, to help build into those kids. And again, that's the thing. You don't have to be a physical parent to be a parent. You can help parent children without being biologically connected to them, and really bringing that influence to them in that positive way. I think for me, accepting kind of God's love really was through Emmett's journey in the hospital, and just accepting that, again, I looked at it as, I can do this myself, I've got this, I can do it, and really not looking at that community in that time, and then getting to the point where I couldn't, I need help, and having that community to come alongside and just love on me, love on my family, provide with things that we just needed, just basic things, but those basic things make a big difference. And seeing that and knowing that, God's putting this all together for me makes a big difference. And knowing that these people that are so close to me are doing this because God's like, yes, no, you need to be here, you need to support, you need to help. And just seeing that kind of coming through really inspires me to be, okay, how do we build a better community? How do we make that work better? How do we serve each other better? Because I think we kind of lose sight of that servant's heart. And I know the servant's heart is really what pleases God. So how do we be more like that? Because I want to please God more. So how can I get better at serving? And serving the ones that you do life with, which is your closest community of family. So I saw that come towards me, and I want to continue to see that impact others because I know how much it impacted me. And yeah, showing God's love to people, more regularly. I think it is just really that servant's heart, that movement of how can I serve you? Whether that's babysitting kids so people can have an evening out, baking meals for somebody who's shut in, things like that. Like how can I do that to extend God's love? How can I move that forward in a practical way that can be of a big help? Mm-hmm. And so I want to continue to kind of keep moving in that direction of what does that look like to serve more and serve better. And how do we serve better as a church? How do we serve better as the body of the church? How do we do that? How do we make that better? Because at the moment, again, the past 2 years have made that difficult. And how do we serve? How do we reach out to the community? How do we practically help the people in our community? Because it's all been stay home, stay separated. So it's going to be a shift, I think, as we continue to move to things open of what does that look like for us to continue to move forward in that servant's heart. Because, yeah, it's going to be a good shift, but I think that's the direction we're headed because without community, we are by ourselves, and by ourselves, we can't really grow. So no. I think that's something we're certainly going to need more of as we continue moving to things more opening up, which is going to be excellent. So, man, we fly through this each and every week, man. These things just go by so fast. I've had a blast.
It's been great.
I, of course, love doing this each and every week. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. Leave a comment and let us know what your thoughts are, how you guys are enjoying this. And of course, if you haven't watched this week's message or want to catch up on some previous ones, you can go to LifeNorth.Church on YouTube. We are there. Hit that subscribe button. You'll get notified when new content, of course, gets posted. And again, you can catch up to things way past and really work through all the series that we have posted. And maybe something will strike out to you and that'll really speak to you kind of where you're at in life. And of course, we want to thank our tech guys behind us here, making, of course, this all happen each and every week. We certainly appreciate you guys a lot. And life groups, as I discussed, how important it is, of course, for me, and I know for you, it's quite important. And just that connection we build with that group and getting those different perspectives makes a big difference. And again, diving into these questions, you can really get even more out of this as you get perspectives of people around you and see what their thoughts are and what does that look like, and maybe changes your thought process on how you're thinking about things. So you two friends can get these things started. It's super simple, and of course all the questions are available, and you can get them at Life Church, or you can check us out on Facebook. Everything's there. It's all there. And of course, if you don't have the Bible yet, you can download it digitally to your phone. And it's there in the App Store, Android. It's all there. You guys can get it. And it's great. And you can even start the God is Bible plan. It is there. So if you want to, again, dive into a bit more scripture, you can certainly do that in those plans, and maybe even do it with a friend. And again, get that perspective. So, of course, we've run out of time. So we got to wrap this up. But as we always remember, we know whoever finds God finds life.